just sitting there as a wood statue. You know, we move all the time, and how is it going to look if this happens? And just ask that question. You know, one thing I have to say with Maryanne is that she has the courage to ask questions like that, or a little tougher question, but it really pays off in the end to say that. And so
I think a man who isn't comfortable with that place doesn't know what you're asking, because I've actually tried that.
Yeah, well, we might not, and men aren't the brightest of the species, so great patience sometimes have to be.
No, there are men that
be
can.
used.
I'm experienced. I know that, but I'm just curious. I've never asked the question of what it's like from your side. You know, I've experienced what it's like to feel, you know, crazy and out of control myself, and have someone who's able to hold that and, you know, bring me into integration with it.
Yeah, well, it's a big conversation, and I would only tell you my personal experience, and I think it's, you know, find somebody who really loves you exactly the way you are. Yeah, and me.
She's
I love
actually
you.
asking you, honey.
It's okay. How about that? It's perfectly okay. And I find it to be a beautiful way of seeing differences. So I experience it as, oh, look how different we are.
Well, may I add to that? Because I think what I'm hearing you ask, and I know he has, I believe I know what you're asking and looking for. David and I have contextualized, or we have created context in our relationship as a foundation point. In other words, I don't come at David freaky crazy on, it's so rare. This is my reality. You stop me if that's not true.
There is responsible. Maryanne's responsible for communication.
Yeah, because I don't get freaky at David.
Yeah.
We don't really have too many issues like nitpicky things at each other, or what we do makes each other crazy. When I get crazy, it's about some deep, esoteric wound, and it's dragon-like and fierce and terrifying.
Exactly.
What David, in my experience, does is he sits down and gets grounded and beholds it, and we've taught each other how to hold space for that. And I have done a lot of release work with my husband. I've chanted. I've woken up in the middle of the night making Indian, you know, speaking in tongues, all kinds of intense, crazy stuff in David. And I will tell him what I need. You don't need to fix anything. I taught him early on. This doesn't mean anything about you. It's going to pass. Don't do anything except sit there and make sure I don't hurt myself. And he's like, Roger. And you will sit there, hold space, make sure I don't hurt myself, and then we'll talk about it. Now, if you have a different experience, that would be interesting. But I think that's what I...
That's exactly what I'm at. You know, I flip out at the bank, and I know I do. And I asked, you know, my ex to come with me, and I said, you're good at math. You go to the bank all the time. You can handle this. I'm going to flip out. Be with me. I said that.
Yeah.
And we went to the bank, and I flipped out, and he flipped out. And we ended up yelling at each other across the street, and I thought they'd stolen all my money. And it was, you know, we had this big fight in the bank. And so so that's exactly what I'm talking about. I know, you know, I know that was, you know, me and some primordial authority wound. And
so you were teaching him how to be with you, and what that
And
involves is having a partner that you know yourself well enough. Like my panic attacks I used to get like on an airplane or on a bridge, and I would say to David,
it's coming.
I'm in the midst. Here's what I need you to do without wiggle room. And because we respect each other, we can talk to each other like that. And over time, it's not been the breakdown. It's actually created, in my experience, a greater affection, a greater respect, a greater intimacy, because David knows that. And he's creating space as an enlightened witness so I can heal that. I don't need David to heal it for me. But I also don't want a partner who's going to add to the harm so I can shame myself or feel bad about myself. And that's the kind of partner we've chosen in each other. Someone that we're committed to each other's growth, to be holding each other's responsible stuff. So like I'm not in reaction, and I'm not going to just not inquire about a freak out. We process it, we look at it, etc. There's a context. That's what I mean. So does that feel accurate for you?
say that, you know, those are the kinds of things that we're all, again, we're all living beings and we're not the same. So it's good to start, you know, and kind of slowly bring people through some of this too. I mean, if that's something, I don't know that that's something you're going to do all the time, but my feeling about myself is it's just part of being in relationship with a human being.
So while she's having